not adjust your computer screen. It's your mind we're changing. Stories set to a theme. Think outside. Universe Box.
Greek god Pan, one half goat, the other half man. Pan, Greek god Pan, one half goat, the other half man. Pan, Greek god Pan, one half goat, the other half man. Pan, Greek god Pan, one half goat, the other half man. Pan, Greek god Pan, one half goat, the other half man.
From the heavens to your ears, this is Universe Box, and we're traveling across the universe on the back of a turtle. I'm Bill Meeks.
And I'm Anne-Marie DeSimone.
As soon as your camera comes up,
As
you will
soon as
be.
my camera.
And
camera.
we're back for another wonderful episode of Universe Box. There she is.
There
Hi.
I am. Hi.
Yes,
you can't even. Oh.
a toga party of sorts.
Toga.
Now, I don't know why we have the togas on. Yeah, I have no idea.
You have no
honestly.
idea. There's no reason.
Yeah, but we are joined by our chatters here. There's like 10 of you in there, so super fun.
Pan, Greek god Pan. That's where you win.
We usually record live Thursdays 8:30 p.m. EST at live.universebox.com. And I see Sage of Earth, Michael Lucero, Win, Liz, Tensor Guy, Bobby, Tandagasa. A lot of our regulars.
Such a group. I love it.
Yeah, all of our storytellers. It's great to see, for sure.
And I hope everyone enjoys their earworm for the rest of the week. Pan,
Pan.
Greek god
It's just because
Pan.
it's so repetitive, right?
It's fantastic.
Okay, one real quick note before we get into the main meat of the show here is I just wanted to mention that in about 10 weeks, 11 weeks, something like that, we're going to be doing an episode called Leftovers, which is basically if you missed sending in one of your stories for our theme shows, this is your, you can catch back up. You can catch back up. So up until probably November, we're going to be accepting stories based around anything of the themes
you missed.
We've done so far. Like I see Cats and Dogs, Harry Potter, Everything Old is New Again.
Cookies. Home. Coffee.
Manners.
Oh, coffee.
Yeah,
I would love to relive that if anybody has something to say.
If you want a full list, just go look at our feed wherever you subscribe to us at, or go to universebox.com/category/show and go ahead and send those stories in to us at universeboxshow@gmail.com, or leave a voicemail 424-274-2352, and we'll give you that information at the end of the show as well.
Yes.
So I guess it's about time to get into it here. Anne-Marie, what's in the box?
All right, let's find out what's in it.
What is in the box?
By falling.
Is it a toga?
Might be a toga. Let's find out.
Is it a ghost bed sheet that we turned into a
Repurposed.
toga?
It's mythology.
Mythology. Yes, this week we're talking about mythology. First of all, Anne-Marie will make a fool of her co-host, that's me, with Name That Deity in the game box. We'll open up the Wonder Box and analyze Disney's Hercules. Next, Patty gives us a mythological primer in the phone box.
Ring, ring, ring.
We have a lot of great listener myths in the mailbox.
Bam.
And finally, we're going to pull out some questions you submitted to us through the idea box. So it's going to be a good episode, I think.
It's going to be good. It's
Going to be a lot of fun. But you know what, actually, Anne-Marie, I believe you have the honors of leading our first box here. So you want to go ahead and get started?
Yes. Also, hi, Night RAF. Thank you for joining us. Woohoo!
Oh,
New
very
person.
cool. Very cool. Oh, by the way, Sage of Earth says, now comes the process of trying to get that song out of my head. You'll never do it,
Nope,
Patty.
that's why we do it. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I guess.
Let's see.
What are we doing here?
Hold on, I'm scrolling. I'm in the wrong spot of the dock. It's been hectic. Okay, scrolling. Okay, mythology does not just involve the Greeks and Romans, though that's who everybody usually thinks of. Tonight, we are going to challenge Bill's knowledge of mythological creatures from around the world with Name That Deity.
Oh yeah, this game box. I'm not feeling too confident.
He
in this,
shouldn't.
But we'll see.
He shouldn't. Okay, so what we're going to do, Bill's going to pull up a picture. He has no idea what they are.
Yeah, actually, let me go ahead and.
I was like, that's...
Here's a preview of the game.
This is a preview of the game.
There we go. Here's the first
Yes,
picture.
I was like, so this is the first one. Okay, and here is your, clue.
I'll just say Tondagas in the chat room said, please don't sing the song anymore. So, Greek god Pan, Greek god Pan. Half of him's man, the other's a frying pan. Go ahead.
Okay, this god was originally the crown prince of the kingdom of pure felicity and majestic heavenly lights and ornaments. At birth, he emitted a wondrous light that filled the entire kingdom and then spent his childhood helping the needy. Name that deity!
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's obviously from an Asian country here, right?
Okay,
So,
I will give you half a point. Do I even have a pen? I need a pen.
I just know that because he has like a Fu Manchu mustache in the picture here.
Nothing. Okay, I was going to give you a half a point, but you have a
There's
score.
Ben.
Okay, if you can name the civilization that he comes from, I will give you a half a point.
Okay, I'm going to say his name's Sun Chao, and he's from China. I don't know.
Well, you get one of 2 points. His name is Jade Emperor.
Jade Emperor,
and
okay.
he is Chinese, so +1 if the pen wants to work.
I did like a mashup of all the Chinese names I know, and just made a lucky guess.
You know, you'll have that.
So
Okay.
I'm failing so far.
Number 2.
Number 2. Let me see here. What's number 2? Okay.
Number 2.
It's a lady.
It's a
with
lady.
bird.
This goddess is the daughter of Jupiter and Metis. She is commonly associated with magic, wisdom, the arts, and medicine. Her sacred animal, the owl, is often pictured with her. My camera just gave up on us. Okay.
Oh,
that's
no,
fine.
it wasn't there to begin with.
Oh, okay. That's better. Name the deity.
Okay, so read me the first sentence of this again.
This goddess is the daughter of Jupiter and Metis. She is commonly associated with magic, wisdom, the arts, and medicine.
The arts, I should know this because the arts.
Her sacred animal, the owl, is often pictured with her.
I know this is going to be completely wrong, but it's the first name that pops into my head, so I think it might be right. Athena? No.
Nope.
Who was
Would you
it?
like to name the... Would you like to go for the
country?
civilization?
Greek?
The answer is Minerva, and she is Roman.
Minerva.
So you get nothing for that.
I
You
don't
get
know-
nothing.
I know my Roman gods even less than I know my Greek gods, so it's terrible.
Well, just wait. This one ought to be good then.
Okay.
Scroll forward.
All right.
Okay.
It's a bear butt.
This deity is commonly known as the polar bear. He is known as the master of bears, meaning he decided if hunters deserved success in finding and hunting bears and punished violations of taboos.
Interesting.
Name that deity.
Polar bear butt.
Would you like to name the civilization?
Inuit?
No. No.
Eskimos?
See, no, you don't get a second guess.
Okay, sorry.
The answer is Nanook. And it's
like
Eskimo.
Nanook of the North. I know that
It is
documentary.
Nanook of the North. To me, it is Nanook, my grandparents' dog from when I was a child, which is why I picked that
Okay.
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a really good documentary. I remember watching that in documentary class.
Yeah, that's-
Although they faked some stuff in it, I think,
I'm sure they did.
including polar bear butts.
Including polar bear butts. It was the best one I could find that wasn't like just weird. Okay, number 4.
Number 4.
That is not number 4.
That's polar bear butt again.
It's polar bear butt again. There we go. This
All right.
goddess is the mother of Plutos and Persephone. She is commonly known as Earth Mother, and her emblem is the bright red poppy.
The bright red
Name
poppy.
that deity. There might be bright red poppies on my thing if you know anything about my Greek affiliation.
Oh, if only
Oh,
I
I
did.
gave that away.
It's
It's
Greek.
Greek.
I got a half point.
Oh, give me my camera.
Oh, wait.
Give me
hold
my
on.
camera while you're thinking. It's Greek.
It's Greek
It's
to me.
Greek.
It's all Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me.
All right, so it's a Greek.
Tayo.
And what was she the?
Earth Mother.
Earth Mother.
This goddess is the mother of Plutos and Persephone. She is commonly known as Earth Mother, and her emblem is the bright red poppy.
The bright red poppy. See, I feel like I should know this. Athena.
Demeter.
Demeter.
And I'm not even giving you the point for Greek because I said it.
I would like Demeter. Definitely.
You would like Demeter?
I would like Demeter. For sure. For
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty poorly here.
That's okay.
And I anticipated it.
It was meant to be. Okay, number 5. Oh, this one's
Number
fun.
5. Ooh.
This god is easily identifiable by his elephant head. He is known as the remover of obstacles, god of new beginnings, and the patron of letters and writing. Name that deity.
Is it Venu?
Would you like to guess the civilization?
China.
No.
India.
No. Ganesha? And it's Hindi.
Drat. I think Venu might be like the elephant god of like another civilization.
Oh, I'm
Maybe.
sorry. That's the wrong elephant god.
Yeah, an elephant never forgets, but I often do. Okay.
Oh.
Yes.
So far, let's see. Sage is kicking it. She's doing really good.
Oh, is she doing really good?
She's doing really good over there. I'm liking it.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Sorry, I just had to check in with them.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, we'll check in with the chat.
Let's
yeah,
check in.
They're doing pretty good.
They're doing all right.
Doing pretty good.
They're doing okay. Okay, number 6.
Number 6. Here we go.
Okay, this deity was both the god of death and ruler of the Ukupacha. Or Paka, I can't pronounce anything, sorry guys, as well as a race of demons. He is also associated with miners.
With
Name
miners, like pickaxe
yes,
miners,
like miners.
or little kid miners. Big difference.
Pickaxe miners. Name that deity.
Well, I mean, if he's associated with death, he's probably associated with little kids who are also miners. Because I mean,
Yeah.
little kids wouldn't survive long enough.
No, not really.
I'm gonna
that
say
deity.
his name is Fred. And he's from the Martian civilization.
Now you're not even trying, though.
No,
You're not even trying.
That was a legitimate guess.
Martians?
Martians.
Martians? No, the answer is no. This is Supay, and he is Incan.
Incan. And interesting. I've never known an Incan in my life.
Now you know one.
I do. This guy.
You know this guy.
Fred.
You know Fred.
I do.
Okay, not to...
Okay, so let's see.
Okay, next. Number 7.
And when our resident mythological expert is like, I'm not typing the answers I know. She probably knows all of them.
Well, I think she said something about not getting any points, so maybe I'm even getting her. Okay, number 7.
Number 7.
This god is important in both Greek and Roman cultures. Okay, so you don't get points for that one. He is
Greek and Roman.
He is sometimes described as a healer, as well as the patron god of music and poetry.
Oh, this I should totally know.
You really should.
Is it like Apollo?
Yes!
Nice.
Yes!
I actually got one.
You got another point. Oh, you're up to 2 points out of 14.
And I just realized my Skype auto started, and I had a spam person calling me during the middle of the thing. I got one finally.
Yay!
I'm so excited. Yay!
Okay, 8.
8. Boom.
Okay, this goddess is one of 3 that has sworn never to marry. She is most well known as being the goddess of hunting, childbirth, and the moon.
Oh, and she's like, she has one boob too, right? Because she cut it off for...
That's not part of my thing. There is also a feminist form of Wiccan named after her. Name that deity.
Hera?
Would you like to name the culture?
Greek.
Diana, and she's Roman, so
See,
no.
You know what? The reason I said Hera is because
she is that of
well,
Greek.
I was going to say Wonder Woman always goes Great Hera. You know what Wonder Woman's name is?
Diana.
I think I should get half a point for that.
No.
No, okay.
Not at all. And the hard part was finding this picture because when I searched Diana and God, all I got was Wonder Woman.
Nice. Wonder Woman.
It took me quite a while.
Well, I'm glad we got a mention of Wonder Woman in here for sure.
Of course.
Definitely.
Number 9.
So this will be the last one.
No, there's 10.
No, there's 9. I only got 9.
Okay, well the 10th one's not very fun anyway.
Okay.
Okay, 9.
This guy looks fun. He looks like this looks like a guy who'd be running a D&D game down at your local comic shop.
Okay, well this story is fun then too. This god is the first living being and the creator of all in some versions of mythology. He was born from an egg and is usually depicted as a primitive hairy giant who has horns on his head and wears furs. Name that deity.
I'm gonna say I'm trying to think of who could be. His name is Larry.
And where does Larry reside, Bill? Where did Larry create?
Androids and Dungeons and Dragons down on 34th Street. In the back room. Back by the magic cards.
No. The answer is Pangu, and he's Chinese. Okay, and we'll do 10 without the picture.
Okay, that's
because
fair.
it wasn't really an awesome picture anyway.
That's fair.
Okay.
Here, I'll bring the chat up too.
Okay, bring up the chat. They'll enjoy this. Okay, these deities are fairy-like beings of Arnhem Land in the folklore of the indigenous Australians of Northern Australia. They are described as having extremely thin and elongated bodies, so thin that they could be in danger of breaking in case of high wind. Name those deities. Excuse me.
Enderman.
No, the answer is Mimes.
Mimes?
Mimes.
Like, is it spelled like memes?
M-I-M-I.
Oh, M-I-M-I.
Mimi.
Like
Like the grandma.
Like from the Drew Carey show memes.
Okay, yes.
And you said they were from Australia?
Yes.
I'm trying
It's
to see if I
very
can
hard to find a picture of them.
Oh, wait, here's a good one. Hold on one second. Let me get over
Is
here.
it the one of like a single one, like drawn head?
No, it's like a bunch of them here. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that. Oh, I never saw that one.
These creepy ones. I like them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Slenderman. Thank you, Tonda.
Yeah, that was a Minecraft reference, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so how many points did I get?
2.
2? How many points did everyone else get?
More than 2.
More than 2. I lose!
You lose! You lose!
Oh, and it looks like Wynn's heading out for that.
Oh,
Thank you, Wynn.
bye,
I'm glad
Wynn.
you were here for the game at least, for
Yes.
sure. No, that was a fun game, though.
That was good. I did good. Yay.
I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
That was good times.
I enjoyed losing. I like to lose. I like to lose.
Sage loved the game.
Excellent.
Yay!
Excellent. All right, well, I guess it's time to move on to our next box here.
Okay. What do we got?
Now it's time to find out if we'll rediscover the wonder we felt from our favorite movies and TV shows and books in the
Wonder Box.
Now, do you like Disney flicks? So do we, but we missed a couple growing up. We're fixing that tonight, starting with a truly epic myth from the House of Mouse. Anne-Marie, you want to go ahead with the rhyming plot summary, which we didn't practice beforehand?
So
like
this
we
could be
normally
good.
do?
Okay. Ooh, hold on. Overscrolled. All right. What is a hero in the classical sense? Hercules wonders, but lives in suspense. Big Daddy Zeus is giving no clues. It's not just about if you win or lose. With Phil, Peg, and Meg, he'll find Perk to leads in the Disney retelling of the myth Hercules.
Hercules. Yes, we're doing Hercules.
See, this is why I prep them or I read them ahead of time.
You know what? I had theme music for the game. I didn't play it. We'll play it. We'll play it
Play it
under
now.
this. Yeah, this will be fun under Hercules.
It was such good music for the game.
So yeah, we watched this today. Anne-Marie, what did you think of it overall?
Oh, you want me to jump to that already?
Well, I just thought, overall, what did you think of it?
Meh.
Meh?
Meh.
That's fair.
I have positive things to say about it, but the overall feeling for me was very meh.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as other Disney movies, but we'll get into that in more detail as we go along. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention up front here is kind of like the themes of heroism and the parallel. Actually, I don't think I saved the parallels for later.
Save the parallels.
Yeah, but more the concept of heroism, which is kind of a big deal in this thing.
Are we keeping the music?
Oh, we can go ahead and kill.
Okay. It's distracting me a little.
But the major theme of the film is what is a hero? They come to the conclusion by the end of the film. It's somebody who does the right thing, someone who does the right thing, even when they have something to lose, which we see Hercules do. There are several heroic sacrifices made in the film, including Meg's towards the end when she jumps in to save Hercules, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about it, like, does that make Meg a true hero in the same sense that Hercules is the true hero? And I'd say no, for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One, she didn't know that she'd die by doing that. She just knew she was trying to protect Hercules.
By scooting him out of the way?
Yeah, she only knew that Hercules needed to live to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, she wasn't jumping in knowing that she was going to make the ultimate sacrifice. So that's one reason why she wasn't a true hero in the sense that Hercules was, that, achieved godhood and everything.
Godhood.
And another reason is because until she found Hercules, she really had nothing left to live for. So by saving Hercules, she was preserving the one thing she had to live for. So therefore, she had nothing. She something to lose.
Okay.
Yeah, or she had nothing to lose rather.
Right.
Because if she didn't save Hercules, she would have lost everything anyway. Where Hercules, he had his life to lose because he had no powers.
Right.
And he knew that going in, walking up to that Titan. He knew
Cyclops thing.
Yeah, he that big bulbous kind of thing reminded me almost of Clayface from Batman.
Okay, let's not go there.
But he knew that he had his life to lose and that he was likely going to lose it, but he decided to do it anyway. Where Meg, she knew that she could lose her life. It wasn't a certain thing, but she also knew that if Hercules died, she had nothing.
She had nothing.
Yeah, she had nothing. So, that was kind of what I took away from it.
Okay. Let's see. I liked that the movie sort of is a primer for Greek mythology, and is a good way to introduce the stories, at least to children. I know at the very beginning we were watching with the kids, and they were all like really into that beginning with the stories of the Titans.
Oh yeah, I really like
Zeus
that opening song.
I love that
where they
opening.
kind of like summarized everything for you.
Or got you to the point you were at. Yeah, like they summarized what had happened. It was nice for them to show so many different characters, even if they didn't like get into them. Was a little irritated with Zeus being like the little comedian guy.
I do believe that it sounded like the same voice as the
King
guy.
Triton?
Yeah, King Triton.
Yes,
yeah.
that was I didn't look it up, but
Yeah, there were a few like that, and then at the well in what was it, Thames, I think, when they were like poo-pooing Hercules, I heard Tigger's voice in there. I heard
geez.
Ursula's voice in there, like a couple other Disney voice actors.
Nice. Let's see. From the opening chorus number to the closing creation of Hercules' constellation, it explains the basics of myths and why they are with fun Disney characters like Pain and Fear. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed Pain and Fear. They were adorable.
Yeah, they were good.
I liked that they're shapeshifters, which is also pretty mythological. So, like, I liked the fact that this sort of introed about myth. Like, I think it almost would be a good thing to use in a school.
Oh, yeah.
To start that before you start getting, like, some short stories.
The week before, like, Christmas vacation, like, this movie would be appropriate.
Yeah, like, it would be... it would. But, I mean, I think it would even be good if you're maybe even in middle school. Like, if you're starting into a mythology unit.
Yeah.
I think it might be a good way to show or to get some interest and be like, do you remember this from growing up? Here's what it all means. And maybe, like, to break it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like the shape shifting is a common theme in mythology. Also, the gods kind of like sitting on the sidelines, manipulating people towards their ends until they have to get involved, which you saw with Hades there in Hercules' first big outing as a hero. And everything. So yeah, definitely you could get a good sense of the kind of tropes and stuff from mythology by watching this for sure. Now, something else that kind of stuck out to me, and it was about to get bad marks from me, was all the merchandising. The merchandising, mainly in the 0 to hero number that they did. Basically they give Hercules the Disney treatment. He has his name and his image plastered on everything: sandals, hats, posters, the whole deal. He becomes, more or less a celebrity, like we know in the modern day, like a Paris Hilton or something like that. Now, at first, I thought that the plot point was a little overt, and I was like, oh, geez, they're... Basically, maybe this is why the Hercules isn't as beloved as, say, like Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast, because
they merchandised it in the movie.
Yeah, it felt like they were inserting a commercial for all the Hercules merchandising in the middle of the film. And so it kind of turned me off. But then a few minutes later, Phil, the Danny DeVito character.
Phil.
After him and Hercules kind of break up or, part ways, he mentions something about how, being famous isn't the same thing as being a hero. And I mean, Hercules is kind of searching for what is a hero through the whole thing anyway. But I took that to mean that we shouldn't look up to celebrities unless they've done something worth looking up to. Like don't look up to Kim Kardashian, for example.
No one should ever. Not even her children should look up
maybe
to Kim.
Look up to her management. But
no, don't look up to her management.
Well, I mean
that is her mother.
There's an argument to be made for Kim Kardashian that she's a very successful business person, but I think that probably has as much to do with her management. I don't think she programmed her iOS app, for example.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, but
she has an app.
She does.
Also, the fact that you know she has an app and I don't is kind of weird.
Well, it was big in the tech news circles because it made a ton of money. Yeah, of
course.
It had a ton of downloads and everything. But yeah, I thought that at first I thought they were going with the cynical commercialization, pro-commercialization message, which I would expect from Disney, especially after just going to downtown Disney last night.
Yes.
But whatchamacallit? No, they kind of took it back and they were like, no, you shouldn't. Be concerned with the superficial. You should be concerned with things of that people who do things of value. Those are who you should.
That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I thought that was good.
I liked the every drop loophole. The fact that he didn't drink that last drop, which was like his saving grace, because a lot of myths and stuff have that loophole. Lots of stories, lots of fairy tales. They all have a loophole. So it was kind of neat to see that and sort of teach people that there are loopholes sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing. A lot of that kind of stuff too. It like to our modern sensibilities, it seems kind of trite, or like you'd think, oh, that's stupid, or not.
But you
realistic.
wouldn't then.
Yeah, back then they were creating drama,
right? Exactly.
Back then.
But I love that it was basically the most important part of his story. The only way he had a story was to have that loophole, because if he would have drank that last drop, he'd have never had his powers, and it would have never been a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. You want to look into the chat while
I can look into. There wasn't too much going on, I think.
But another thing I wanted to talk about here, it's a Disney Renaissance picture. You got to talk about the music, right? Now, first of all, I love that the muses were the Greek chorus. Like
yes.
That's just a wonderful pun in there. The movie basically leads off with. And they also reminded me a lot of the Greek chorus from Little Shop of Horrors, even down to like the style of music and everything, which that's my favorite musical of all time. So. So it had me a little bit there, but overall, I didn't think the music was as memorable as Little Mermaid, Aladdin, etc. I'm assuming that's probably one of the reasons why the movie isn't talked about so much these days as other movies were, because there wasn't a circle of life or a part of your world or a friend like me.
A circle of life.
Good job.
I'll stop now.
That's fine.
Okay.
You ain't never had a friend like me, Mr. Aladdin, sir. What will you? I guess by the way, I was listening. The voice of Aladdin was on Nerdist podcast a couple weeks. Just trivia. And I guess they did an Aladdin Hercules crossover episode of the Hercules cartoon.
Oh.
So we might want to check that out sometime for Wonder Box. Definitely. And another thing with the music is, with Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, like all of the musical numbers felt like big Broadway numbers. They even felt like in the same style as a Broadway musical. Where this Hercules was more sort of doo-wop, R&B, gospel. Yeah. A strange fit with all the Greek stuff, especially in the couple opening songs, the Greek chorus kept using phrases like the gospel truth, which using the word gospel with the Greeks and stuff, it just felt a little anachronistic almost.
It was really weird, yeah.
Which there with these kind of movies, there's a ton of stuff like that. Anachronisms and stuff. Like, for example, we all know that The Lion King took place years after this, but yet Scar's body was there.
Yes. And like not even just like a little bit, like it was all over the place.
Oh yeah, and it was center frame several times. So you notice that Scar's body, that he's flipping around in his little compound there.
Yeah. I liked the music, but like you said, like it definitely didn't really stick with me. The only reason these songs are in my head is I have like a Broadway station on Pandora that pulls a lot of Disney music because I created it with Frozen. Don't judge me. So I already knew the first song, and I was like, oh, I like this better in the movie than out of the movie. This is not a great, just chillin' song.
Yeah, and Angel in the chat room says that she likes Go the Distance pretty good. And that was a good one. And yeah, that reoccurred a couple times too, didn't it?
It was a running theme, was the statement of Go the Distance.
Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't that I hated the music. It's just that none of them stuck out to me as like an iconic song, like some of the other Disney movies.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is probably not a popular statement.
I agree with it.
You agree with it?
I do.
Okay, I kind of hated Meg.
Oh, yeah, from the get-go.
From the second she shows up. Like, sure, she redeems herself in the end. Yeah. But it actually almost felt a little too late. As weird as that is, like, she saved his life. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm so over you. Go away.
I'll never get over you getting over Meg.
Oh, precious, until you killed it. I didn't like all the trickery. For some reason, like, I mean, it's gods and goddesses. There's trickery all over the place, but I just didn't enjoy it. There were so many times she could have told him the truth.
Yeah.
And didn't. Like, she didn't have to keep lying to him. Like, I know her soul belongs to Hades and all that, but I feel like she could have, insinuated or given a suggestion, like, you might want to try this, like, without saying it.
Yeah.
So, and then when he wasn't listening to Phil about warning him about her, and I'm just like, I don't enjoy this whole Meg thing.
Another thing with Hades, like, she was way too obvious about the fact that she was falling for Hercules.
Yeah.
And that immediately, put herself at risk, and gave Hades a lead in.
Yeah, absolutely. She gave it away when she's like, there is nothing, and he could be like, you are the anything.
To play Meg's advocate, Hades' advocate, whatchamacallit, I did kind of like her arc where she comes in very cynical to other people, and through kind of interacting with the very naive Hercules, naive and altruistic Hercules.
Altruism.
But she kind of comes to a more, she loses that cynicism in a lot of ways. So I thought that was kind of fun. I was a little concerned at the end, though. I was like, they're not going to let her go onto Mount Olympus, are they? Because that was the whole reason that Zeus never retrieved Hercules, was because Hercules couldn't live up there.
I know, it really looked like he was just going to like hold her hand and walk her up.
Yeah.
And be like, no.
But no, they were just at the gates.
They're just at the gates.
All right. One thing, and this might betray a bias on my part.
A
but
little
you guys
bit.
probably already know this bias. I thought there were a lot of parallels to the Superman story in this one, and I guess it probably has a lot to do with them both being based on kind of like a monomyth kind of thing too. But just a few things I noticed. While Zeus didn't send Hercules to Earth, he still serves a guiding role like Jor-El does. Hercules is obviously kidnapped and taken to Earth and everything, but Zeus still kind of has the same sort of function as Jor-El does. And the couple who finds him, who finds Hercules, are farmers, and when he becomes a teenager, they give him a piece of the spaceship or the medallion, which allows him to find his biological father and reconnect with his heritage.
Right.
Also, young Hercules is very much like Clark Kent, awkward. Everybody's like, oh, he's a nerd. He's weird. He's a zero.
I felt really bad for him with all of that. I'm like, he's just trying to help you.
Yeah, but that was obviously not the first time he had knocked down the entire city.
No, it really wasn't. Poor Hercules.
So he's kind of an awkward social pariah like Clark Kent. And like Superman, the mortals Hercules cares about are his biggest weakness. So I just thought it was interesting to point that out, since we're talking about mythology and everything, that there are these things that reoccur in a lot of different myths,
right?
And I think Michael Lucero has some maybe negative things to say about it later on. I don't know. I only listened to the first 30 seconds of his message.
And then you started pulling out props.
Yeah, we'll get basically this. Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, the monomyth. Michael Lucero will get into that in a little bit. But
and then you'll respond.
Interesting to see some of those things here, too.
Yes. Okay, the Fates. I really enjoyed the Fates and how they were cutting the strings, and then they couldn't cut Hercules. I don't know. I just enjoyed everything about them, like their first scene and how they're like, we know the past, the present, and the future. And he kept trying to tell them stuff, and they're like, we know. And I know, you know. I was like, yeah, I kind of enjoy you. You're fun. Except for the passing of the eyeball. I could have done without the passing of the eyeball.
I actually thought it was going to be revealed at some point that they were manipulating Hades or something.
They could have been.
Yeah,
they did.
In a way.
By telling him that he, in exactly 18 years, this is what's going to happen. Oh, and Hercules can't fight. Otherwise,
well, I thought they were maybe trying to accomplish something they had their own goal in telling Hades that, but
they may have. They may have just been trying to destroy Hades, and that was the opportunity to do it.
That's true. Angel points out in the chat room that in the Hercules cartoon, Meg shows up for an episode or two, but then gives Hercules a potion to forget her. So she doesn't stick around long once they get into the serialized storytelling. But let's see here. If you want to, is there anything else in the chat room here? Let's see here. Well, look through it here. We're gonna figure out if Hercules passes the wonder test for us. That doesn't make us feel the same kind of wonder that it would have made us feel if we had watched it back in the day. First of all, Emery. Nah.
It was not, I mean, it's good to have watched it once so that I'm not dumb when people are saying, so that movie Hercules. And I'm like, I don't know nothing. I know nothing. But I'm not watching that again. No, sorry.
That's fair. And as for me, yes, well, the music wasn't as memorable as the other Disney Renaissance films. The script was pretty tight. It was a nice, tight plot. And there were a lot of fun characters in it, too.
There were some fun characters.
What was it? James Wood as Hades, and Danny DeVito as Phil, and I don't know, Susan Sarandon as Pegasus. There was no voice for Pegasus.
Rip Torn was Zeus.
Nice.
Just for your entertainment. Which is not
Triton.
Kenneth Mars
Yeah.
was Triton. So there's that. They just were similar.
And I also like the encouragement to look past commercialism and surface level stuff, and look for something of substance in there instead. Use that to look up to. I'm glad I've finally seen it. I think the only Disney Renaissance proper film that I still need to see is The Emperor's New Groove. I think that counts.
We need to see that too.
We need to see that sometime too. All right, well, we're going to get into the phone box with Patty here in a couple minutes, but first we just wanted to tell you a little bit about our Patreon. Anne-Marie, do the honors.
Anne-Maria, okay.
Anne-Maria.
Okay, currently we are producing 3 weekly podcasts now that we got ourselves back up and running. We do Universe Box, Greetings from Storybook, and Legends of Gotham. We've been spending a lot of time to up our quality and our quantity. And the only way we're going to keep getting better is by having you guys help us out a little. And even through our Patreon, we were able to send Bill over to RegalCon over in California. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
So patreon.com/universebox, you can make a monthly donation starting at 10 cents. Seriously, go in your couch. You probably have at least 10 cents. And, just put all your information in, doop, 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 and you'll be charged once a month. Excuse me. Fuzz from my mic. But we do have a little bit of an announcement.
Oh, yes.
Actually, a big announcement.
We hit one of our milestones.
We hit a goal!
Yes, the bi-weekly movie commentaries that will be patron exclusives for the first 6 months that they're out and everything. Yeah, at this level, we're going to release a bi-weekly movie commentary that'll be released right over on the Patreon page.
Yep, you can't get it anywhere else. You must be a patron to get it for at least, I believe, 6 months.
Yeah, you'll just have to go to Creator Post or All Post here, and then it'll show up right up top every time we release one. And what are the first 2 we're doing? We're doing
the first 2 we're doing the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie and Goonies.
Yes,
and then we'll probably quickly be following it up with the first Harry Potter, because we had picked that before we scheduled a Harry Potter episode.
That's fair.
In hopes that we had gotten to there before.
Yeah, and I would imagine we'll probably be recording the first one probably in the next week or 2.
I would imagine, yes.
Yeah, so look for that.
Look for that, and that does also put us at $100 away from starting our Lost podcast.
We're
so lost. So
where we watched the classic TV series Lost.
Classic. It's a classic already?
It's 10 years. It's classic.
That makes it classic. Okay.
But we currently have 31 patrons getting $200 per month. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons. You guys really are awesome. What was I going to say? You also get some rewards from donations. We write you notes. We sing you songs. We do podcasts just for you. There was another thing if you can't commit to a monthly donation, but you're like, hey, I got a spare 20 I want to send you, you can go to YouTube and support. It'll be here.
Yeah, right up over by your lower third.
By there. Support this channel, and you can make your donation there, and you'll still get your prizes and goodies and stuff.
Yeah, and it's patreon.com/universebox, and we want to thank all of you for the support.
Guys.
We really appreciate it.
We really, really do. Yeah,
it's so fun to be able to grow. Hope's in the chat room. Yay! Well, speaking of the chat room, we're going to be in there for a few minutes. Don't go away.
Don't go nowhere.
But we're going to run we called up our good friend Patty to get a primer on mythology back on Sunday, I think it was. Patty's in the chat room, actually. So we're going to play that, and then we'll hear the story of Phaethon, as told by Raekwon. Let's see. Why don't we go ahead and throw it to past Anne-Marie and Bill. Take it away, guys.
Go.
In a second.
Maybe.
Universe Boxio!
Hello, future Anne-Marie and Bill, and we're here for our phone box segment with our listener, Patty. Anne-Marie, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Patty will be talking about today?
Over the years, we've learned that Patty knows quite a bit about mythology, and since today's topic is mythology, we thought we'd let her school us a little on where it comes from and how it pertains to this, that, and the other, and yeah, because she knows way more than I do. So
Yeah, and really, we're going to sit back.
We're gonna learn.
We're going to be taught. We're the pupils. Patty's the teacher.
So Teacher Patty, take it away.
Before I begin, I would first like to thank Bill and Emery for inviting me to speak to all of you about this particular subject. Let's face it, stories that emerge from mythology are just as popular now as it was back then. These stories inspired countless books, TV shows, and movies. For example, if it weren't for the tales of mythological heroes, we probably wouldn't have Superman. And without him, other heroes like Batman, Captain America, and Dog Boy.
Dog Boy! Sorry.
you saved the best for last.
Of course.
I do think it's important to understand exactly what a myth is. This is the most boringest part of any mythological discussion. First chapter in any mythological book. So in this discussion will probably not be different, but I'll try to do the best I can. Let's see how I do. Since, according to Oxford Dictionary, a mythology is a collection of myths, especially one that belongs to a particular religion or cultural tradition. If a mythology is a collection of myths, it is imperative to know exactly what is a myth. And a myth is a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explanations of natural or social phenomenon, and is typically involving supernatural beings or events.
We're big fans of supernatural events and beings, especially with ones.
Definitely.
Yes, and comic books can also have supernatural events and beings, aka Wonder Woman and Thor.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Totally.
I've always said DC Comics is basically like modern mythology. In like 500 years, it'll be taught in the same textbook as like the Odyssey.
I feel like there's some like schools that do even offer like comic classes, like in that respect, not even like just like how to do a comic book.
Definitely.
And besides that, like for example, for Wonder Woman, I always thought her story, like her original origin story before they changed it, was a lot like Galatea, which I thought was a lot more cooler.
Okay.
Do you mean the one where she was kind of formed from clay and everything?
Yeah, Galatea was a woman in which this artist began to create her in the image of Aphrodite because he fell in love with Aphrodite.
Nice.
After creating her, he asked Aphrodite, "Hey Aphrodite, do you mind if you turn me into stone so I could be with the statue for all eternity since I fell in love with it instead of anybody else?" Aphrodite turns the statue human, and then the human looks at him. It's like, yeah, now that you've been creating me, let me do a makeover on you.
Oh, nice.
So that story, I always felt may have had a connection. So I wasn't a big fan of the reboot in her story.
Yeah.
While it is true that the Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and Egyptian mythologies are the most popular and well-known, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are the only mythology. For example, the Irish mythology has a hero named Finn MacCumhaill, who was the leader of the band of Irish warriors known as the Feenan, whose famous tale involved him receiving special knowledge after tasting the salmon of knowledge after a burnt oil fell on his tongue.
That sounds like a Douglas Adams book, The Salmon of Knowledge.
That's them Irish for you. That's what we got.
It gets better, actually. That's only the tip of the iceberg of the insanity for this story. Because the only way for this guy to access that knowledge is by sucking his thumb. So this was his heroic stance.
Nice.
Ironically, his superhero name should be Thumbsucker. Instead, more people know him as Finn McCool.
Okay.
For chat. How is this Cool.
It was a whole different time back then. It was a whole different time.
Yeah, there wasn't as much a stigma around thumb sucking, for sure.
I'm cool now.
Battlefield?
What was that?
Would you do that in a battlefield?
I no, probably not. Probably I would be if I was on a battlefield, I would not be sucking my thumb. I would be running in the other direction.
Yeah. I might throw rocks or something and then run away.
Yeah, but they are interesting and funny stories from other mythologies that could be explored in this podcast. But it is possible to find that some of these mythologies do share similarities. A good example would be the various flood stories. But at the same time, they do share their differences, which could result in different cultures. Did have a lot of respect and admiration for the dragons, considering that one of their mythological entities, which involves a winged dragon named King Long, who had served under the Yellow Emperor at times of war. But even though they respected the dragons, that didn't mean all the other cultures did, because the Greeks did have stories of heroes slaying them, like how Cadmus slayed the dragons of Ares.
Okay.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about the flood too there, I think is interesting. Is something that I've always thought was really interesting about mythology is that so many cultures have different versions of different stories. Like most cultures have a flood story or a messiah figure or something like that. And I've always kind of had just a pet theory, and I know when it comes to the flood, I forget the name of the guy, but there's a specific like the Euphrates River flooded. And it kind of points back to that, but I think there are probably like some very like sort of rudimentary events in man's early history that
Personally, I think that's more to do with one of the scientific explanations is I think the Black Sea overflooded, and that could have emerged the different flood stories, and how that came around due to trade. But at the same time, another theory goes because of the Ice Age and how in order for the ice to come down, those ice had to melt, so
causing floods. Yeah.
All of the floods.
Yeah, but it definitely some events in our early history that kind of like inform all of these myths, and like then it's kind of a telephone game, right? Going out across the
How
world.
did this work?
Yeah, so it's really hard to find out what is the truth. But there are times where you see these stories could have occurred. For example, for a long time, everybody thought the Trojan War was probably fake until they found Troy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the same could be said about the. Let me see, was it the Kraken?
Ah, the Kraken. Beware
Kraken,
the Kraken.
Kraken or Kraken?
I've always heard Kraken. I've never heard Kraken. I think that was like a gym teacher in college or something.
Especially since some historians believe that it was actually the giant squid that inspired that story.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And the fact that they eat, I don't know if they eat whales or whatever, but I do know something to do with whales with them. I do know that they can grow up to 60. Rumor has they can grow up to 60 to 70 feet, but at the moment, the biggest they can go is 43 feet.
Huh.
Yeah, I remember they just found another one that broke the record like a couple of years ago.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's over 100 feet, but it was ancient.
That's crazy.
They fossilized markings of squids, and I think it was a fossilized something about, I think one of their tentacles or something.
Crazy.
Neat.
So, but there are differences that could emerge between any pantheons, but it could also emerge within the same one as well. There are stories with different versions that occur in the same mythologies. For example, one of my favorite stories is the Greek mythological story when a fight with Hera had resulted in Zeus being in the virtual doghouse.
Yes.
He had decided to win Hera over by making a wooden statue, dress it up like a bride, and start a false rumor that he was going to marry somebody else. while this idea may sound like a plan that would blow up in his face, it actually worked. The moment he heard this rumor, he got naturally upset and started to embrace thin hair and uncover that the bride was a statue, and then proceeded to be made up with Zeus. While this part of the story is nearly in every version, this is like the virtual same story idea for every version, but the difference lies is where he received it. There are times where they said he received it from a wise man, King Kirithian, the river god Aspis, and the mountain god Kirithian again. And I think one version I read from a Kindle book said that he didn't receive it from anybody, it was himself.
Well, it was Zeus. He was pretty greedy.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's the best version.
That's another reason why another good example of why those examples you pulled up at the top of like the superheroes and stuff being the modern mythologies. I mean, that happens a lot with superheroes now too. I mean, there's the movie version and the show version and the comic book version and the novelization version, and they're all, you know, they all play on a baby sent from a dying planet lands on Earth, found by farmers, raised
Who
to
could he
become.
be talking about? I have no idea.
Raised to become a superhero. They all have those basic beats, but the variations, you know, the different kinds of ways Zeus gets the statue, as it were, is kind of how it becomes more of a myth, and it falls into that storytelling tradition of like, you know, Homer and all that kind of stuff too.
I think the reason why there are different versions, like from what has been told, especially in the Greek, has to do with more of the states. For example, in Greece, there are different kingdoms. Athens was its own kingdom. Thebes was their own kingdom. There were different states for these tribes. For this country. They weren't actually one unified Greek civilization. They were separate Greek civilizations. So because they were separate Greek civilization and separate cultures, separate ideas had to be imposed. For example, Hercules was considered to be the greatest hero for every part of Greece except for Athens, where they revered Theseus instead. So I think that kind of an example shows different people have different ideas and even different cities. For New York is never gonna, if you go to New York, it's gonna be, you're never gonna receive the same experience if you go to New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
Both
Right.
are states, but they both have a different culture entirely. That is one thing a lot of people have to remember. These are different time periods. This is a different culture. I think the perfect example you were talking earlier about once is probably Beauty and the Beast. It is really one of the things that you discussed with the past was the fact that Belle might have Stockholm syndrome. It is really easy to judge saying he has Stockholm syndrome because of this kind of storyline. But it's really hard to forget that women didn't have a whole lot of rights back then.
Right.
And granted the fact that at least in 17th century France, where if, for example, if Belle were to get raped by somebody else, she would not even had the chance to go and to trial and state her part of the story.
Right.
It is really virtually hard to remember that. But at the same time, when I look at it, when I compare it to the actual rights they had, I realized Belle had a bit more lenient rights because whatever she wanted, she virtually got. Even when she asked to leave when he previously told her no, he allowed her, and he didn't go after her when she didn't come back.
Right.
Well, that's kind of the nice thing about these stories, though, is that you know, most of them have such base elements that you can work with that even, you know, if it's not necessarily historically accurate or something, you can take a story like Beauty and the Beast where where Belle doesn't have quite as many rights in everything. She would have been more put upon in the actual back in the day, and you can kind of tack on modern sensibilities to it and a little bit more modern values and girl power, rah rah rah, and all that kind of stuff.
Did you really? Just
yeah, I
do
did.
That?
I did.
Please don't do it again.
But just kind of tack on these modern sensibilities to still get the main gist of the story out. True love conquers all. It's what's inside that's important, not what's on the outside. While still, not necessarily betraying how humanity's evolved over the course of the past several hundred years.
Yeah, but I also think that a lot of times when you reinterpret it, it could be for a positive thing, because when I look at these stories from ancient Greece, after learning one specific information, I had firstly managed to look at these stories in an entirely different way. Because one of the things that especially as you get older, what always got to me is that why didn't Hera divorce Zeus? He had virtually cheated her God knows how many times. And sometimes even pulling a wicked witch on people, especially for Tiffany.
Yep. Well, it's because she wanted the power, and if she divorced him or got rid of him, she had nothing, even though because she wouldn't be the queen anymore. So,
well, there is also, and they always stated it's jealousy. The only reason I said she got upset instead of jealousy is because of one little fact. She's the goddess of marriage. Think about it. She's supposed to be in charge of marriage. How bad do you think it's going to look if she gets a divorce?
Oh,
well, there's that too,
It's a PR thing.
Yeah, it's in charge. And at the same time, it doesn't look right when he cheats on her. But though, despite all that, I do respect the fact that she still manages to love him and that she hasn't left him. Whether or not they're healthy, that is something Shaq could discuss, which mostly I can only imagine. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
But you have to respect her for not leaving. But at the same time, in that level of anger, she takes frustrations out on people instead of her husband. He has virtually harmed people that he cared about, his illegitimate or not, his children at times, like Hercules. And yet, in that same level of respect, you have to give him props for not leaving his wife.
Right.
Yeah, if nothing else, they were both committed to.
They were committed to something.
Yes.
And as messed up as that is, guys, we have to respect that.
Yeah.
They don't belong together. The fact that they say saying that there must be something genuine there. But I would leave off with chat to discuss one thing, and then for your future selves. If your significant other have pulled off the same trick as Zeus pulled on Hera, would you have taken them back?
No.
Yeah, I'd probably go firmly in the no column.
Firmly in no. Not an option. Sorry.
Honestly, I thought of that. I think I'm one of the people who would avoid divorce at all costs. Even if somebody manages to cheat on me like Zeus did, I would just go to counseling. I would try to work it out because I did make a commitment. But if had that person pulled off that, no, there's no question, divorce.
Yeah, I'd be like,
yeah, done.
Done. Give me my money.
One of the reasons that they said in a lot of the different sites, the fact that he did it in order to show him that she's becoming too jealous. That's why I mentioned he's beating her how many times? How is he too jealous? At this point, it's not a matter of jealousy. It's a matter of you need to stop this and prove your self-worth. You need to stop and realize you can't act this way and her to be a trusting wife.
Yeah, and I think there's probably definitely an element there too. Like you were saying about saving face and everything. Like, I mean, even in modern day, think of a powerful couple in modern day like Bill and Hillary Clinton back in the day.
How did I know you were going to go there?
But I mean, like the big scandal they had back in the '90s with Monica
There were
Lewinsky and
extenuating circumstances then, I guess. So maybe, if you were the president.
yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sure there's probably definitely an incentive there to keep that relationship intact at that level, just because you're both benefiting off of the position and the name and this, that, and the other. And so I mean, I really, I think that's probably a pretty parallel situation almost, the whole Lewinsky scandal back in the '90s with the situation. And so yeah, it's even
I guess
if
it depends on your situation.
But I mean, even taking an old myth like that, yeah, you can find modern examples of people doing the exact same thing.
There's a reason the stories are there.
And speaking about some of the questions you posed back in the last one, where first, what is your favorite god? What TV show would you recommend? And what is the most disturbing? My most disturbing, it's too hard. There are too many disturbing stories where you cannot pick one. But if I had to, I think it was one moment from a TV show where you do see the Norse god Odin change one of Loki's son into a wolf and then have that wolf eat his other son after he killed Baldur.
Oh wow.
This was in a TV. I don't know how based in mythology, but if I had to pick a moment in anything, it would probably be that. I think I don't know some variations because I know a lot of locations were monsters naturally. Like I think at one point he literally gave birth to a wolf.
Oh.
Lipnor. Like his significant others gave birth to a wolf. And monsters, his other daughter Hel was thrown to become the goddess of the underworld. So I'm not sure how based in fact that TV show was, but I thought that moment was disturbing.
Yeah,
harsh.
For sure.
Because killing the kid when the parents do something wrong, that happens in every mythology. That is nothing new. But that aspect, that switch.
Yeah. That took it to a whole nother level.
That's a whole different level, yeah. We don't need to.
Okay, well, I think we've definitely learned a lot about mythology.
We really have.
Really,
thank you so much, Patty. We really appreciate you taking the time.
And to leave off, if I were going to recommend anything, it would be the last 5 minutes of Valentine. Because that is the only time where you do see on any screen an Egyptian god fighting a Greek god.
Ooh.
And one of them does die.
Nice. So it's kind of a DC versus Marvel.
5 minutes and the show got canceled. Like the show didn't even reach up to that level. The only reason we even got to see it is because they filmed all 13 episodes ahead of time. I think it got canceled in the United States after season 6. But when you see the last 5 minutes of the 13th episode that did not air, you're like this. Why did it get canceled? That would have been your stupid TV show.
Nice. Okay, Patty. Well, I definitely want to thank you for all the research too. And you have a full bibliography and everything here. We're going to publish this up at the website at universebox.com. It'll be up around the same time the episode is. But where can people find you online, Patty? Obviously, they can find you in the chat room almost every
show. We love it.
You can find me on Twitter of sage_of_earth and Tumblr. Do so under the same name. Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and we'll have those links in the show notes too. But thank you very much, Patty. And we'll look for you in the chat room. Well, future Anne-Marie and Bill will look for you in the chat room.
You're chatting with us now.
Look for it.
Chatting.
Do it.
Go. Hello, my name is Raekwon, and I'm going to tell you the story of Fairtown.
Once upon a time, there was two little boys named Ephesus and Phaethon. They were racing along a cliff, and out of nowhere, Phaethon burst ahead and won the race. I won! Yes! Ephesus loses the race and yells at Phaethon.
No!
Ephesus and Phaethon start arguing.
You think you are that, but I'm the son of Zeus.
Well, I'm the son of Apollo, and I ride the sun chariot with him every day. Ephesus dares Phaethon to ride the sun chariot around his house 3 times.
If you ride with your dad every day, then ride around my house 3 times.
Okay, then I'll prove it. Phaethon goes to Olympus to ride the sun chariot around the house 3 times. Phaethon gets surrounded by 3 hyenas. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Out of nowhere, 4 birds carry him to Olympus on a rug. He wakes up in Olympus. He asks his father Apollo, can he ride the sun chariot? Apollo, can I ride the sun chariot all by myself? His father said yes because he made a godly promise.
Yes, my son, you may.
He gets on the sun chariot. Whee! I finally got to ride the sun chariot. He swoops down to ride around the house 3 times. I think I'm just gonna take a peek down. Because the sun was so hot, the town catches on fire. He noticed the town's catching on fire and he pulls up. Uh-oh! Let me go back up. When he goes up, the town starts getting cold and flooding. Uh-oh! What have I done? Zeus noticed all the disaster that Phaethon has caused.
Whoa, what's all this disaster down there?
Zeus zaps Phaethon off the chariot with his lightning bolt. He falls out of the sky into the river. His mother and his sister noticed that somebody fell in the river, and it was Phaethon. No, Phaethon! They started bursting out crying, didn't know what to do. Since nobody can know, Zeus turned his mother and his daughter into a large tree. Ever since then, only Apollo and nobody else could ride the sun chariot.
I miss my son Phaethon.
The end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we're back.
We're back.
Boxio.
Oh, really?
Yes, we're back.
You love that you have that at your disposal.
Definitely. And I will say that in answer to Patty's question, would you forgive Zeus? Most people wouldn't.
No.
I would. If it was Zeus, I would. If I was married to Zeus and he tried to marry a statue, totally. But only Zeus.
No Zeus.
No Zeus.
No Zeus for you.
No, but we had a great time in the chat room with you guys too.
Yes.
We were talking Bloody Mary in space. Don't ask how we got there.
Lots of Pluto, many worlds that I do not understand. I was like, nope, I lose my geek card on that one.
All right, well, we have a couple of segments here to wrap up with a couple of boxes. First up is the idea box, which you can submit ideas to by going to universebox.com/ideabox right here.
My.
And
yours has like points and links, so we're just gonna ask you.
Well, I just put that in there for reference for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, any sort of topics, or if you hear what we're doing on the show next week and you have a question for us, which we'll also ask to the chat room, you come over here to universebox.com/ideabox, and then there's this form here. You just type in your idea. I'm typing an idea. Then you click submit. Boom.
That's all that's in there, though, isn't it? It's you typing idea every week.
No,
there's some questions?
Yeah, people put questions in for sure. For sure. Okay, let's see here.
Please send us questions for the idea
What is
box.
the first question?
What is your favorite modern myth?
What is your favorite modern myth? Anne-Marie, I'll go ahead and let you answer this one first. Because mine's a bit more complicated. And you can answer it in the chat room, too. I'm putting it over in the chat.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Well,
I know I was supposed to think about this today, but there was no time for me to think about this today.
Well, is there any sort of modern mythology that you're really into, like a universe or like a fictional universe or anything like that?
I'm sorry, you're trying to get me to say Harry Potter?
Well,
or Hunger Games or something. But I don't think of those as mythology.
You don't think of like Harry Potter as mythology necessarily?
I don't.
That's fair.
No.
Okay, as for me,
sorry.
Well, as far as like a mythological story, probably one of my favorite modern ones is the tale of the creation of the DC multiverse.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, go to sleep, Emery.
Go ahead. Let me know when you're done.
No, but we'll put a link over to the DC Wikia here so you can look at it in more detail. But I'll give you the basic gist. Basically, there was this guy named Krona. Krona was an Owen scientist obsessed with observing the creation of the universe, or the Big Bang. Despite an Owen legend that said discovering that the secret of the origins of the universe would cause a great calamity. Now, Krona was he was dead set on doing this, so he created a machine that allowed him to peer back, kind of like a television camera that would peer back to the moment of creation. And he sees this big, giant, enormous hand with like universes swirling in it and stuff, and what appears to be a spiral galaxy. But somehow, as soon as this happens, like things go crazy, right? And his experiment disrupts the process of creation with terrible consequences. It causes the creation of not just a single universe, but it generates an infinite number of universes and creates the DC multiverse. So it was Krona's hubris that created the multiverse. And the multiverse would actually also coexist with an antimatter universe. But that's a little complicated. You can go check out the DC Wiki for more information. But I always just love that story that, this great hubris created this great infinite possibility. I always thought that was kind of fun and very, very mythic from the DC universe.
In the chat room, lots of Star Wars,
yes, people like the
Marvel.
Star Wars.
Let's see. Michael Lucero says definitely Tolkien's The Silmarillion, but I also have Hadestown, which is Aeneas Mitchell's Depression era folk opera adaptation of the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. I can't even function today. And apparently Bobby's son's mythology of choice is creepypasta.
Oh, creepypasta.
What is creepypasta? Nobody answered me.
Creepypastas is basically it's a term I think originated on 4chan. It's basically like little creepy short stories that you copy and paste all over the internet. And there are other ones too. Like one of the ones I know of is there's this one about like Ocarina of Time, I believe, or either Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask Zelda games.
Yeah,
where like you see this little like statue of Link out of the corner of your eye a bunch of different times, and then the story goes that the guy who discovered it eventually like dies or something like that, and then it's a haunted cartridge sort of situation.
Yeah, Bobby said Slender Man is creepypasta.
Yeah, but basically the same kind of stories you would tell like at camp or something like that at 2 a.m. That sort of thing.
Is Stumpy a bat? And
yeah,
no one here is going to get that.
We've barely touched on, but probably deserves an episode of its
camp
own.
Stories?
Would be urban legends, camp stories, stuff like that would be kind of fun.
I like urban legends.
Okay, next question. What was your first exposure to mythology, Anne-Marie?
I'm pretty sure, at least this is my first like memory of mythology or anything, was middle school, probably 6th grade, because I remember a very tragic makeup incident. And watching, what's the one with the little metal owl?
Oh, I'm not sure.
They'll know. Somebody tell me, please. Whichever one, was it Clash of the Titans or something? Like it was one of those really classic, awful, even then movies. And I remember the squeaky owl, and I love the owls even before I was an owl. So, gotcha. Yeah, that's my first real memory of it. But but then I got like really, really into like Greek mythology for a while, and then I became Greek in college.
Yeah.
So I really got into Greek mythology, and then it sort of dipped off, and I'm kind of getting a little bit back into it.
Yeah, Sage of Earth, Patty says Disney's Hercules or Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Michael Lucero's The Chronicles of Narnia. Let's see. Angel T says School. Tondagasa, Jason and the Argonauts. And Michael also said here, I just wanted to point this out real quick. I thought it was a really good comment. A great mark of a true myth. Wait, it just scrolled out of screen there. A great mark of a true myth is that the story is powerful regardless of how good or bad the particular expression or storytelling is. I think that's pretty good. As for me, I'd probably say, this might be a controversial statement.
Oh, geez, here we go.
I think regardless of where you weigh in on the side of whether it's true or not true, I think the Bible is its own kind of mythology. I grew up in an independent Baptist church, so it was basically all Bible all the time. And actually, the thing is I actually got to learn a lot about Greek mythology and Roman mythology because it kind of intersects well, more Roman, but it kind of intersects. So there would be sermons where Zeus would be very relevant to a certain Bible verse.
Interesting.
And so the pastor would have to talk a little bit about Zeus to put it in context. But I mean the Bible is very, very mythological itself. I mean there's a lot of really big stories that have kind of these big moral things going on there.
Yes, a bit.
There's also a lot of a Deus Ex Machina with a literal God.
Yes.
I think I'd say probably the Bible. But I hope that's not too controversial.
I think
But
it's all right.
anything else here?
Let's see.
I see some Clash of the Titans.
I see Narnia.
Hope agrees. The Bible too,
Yes, thank you.
and Bobby too.
Bobby's like, thank you. Thank you for saying it. Angel, okay, I think we have most of the group.
That's fair.
Most of the group agrees.
Yeah, but like I said, if you want to submit some ideas for next week, go to universebox.com/ideabox.
And we'll tell you what it is in a few minutes.
Yeah, well, actually, right now.
Right now? Is it before the feedback? I thought the feedback. Oh.
Yeah, what's in the box?
Do I
for
not
next
even
week?
know how our show works anymore?
Yes, you. Well, we did take a couple weeks off.
We
so.
really did. Okay, I was making sure you rewrote that.
Okay, so time to find out what's in the box for next week.
Okay, I'm getting
there. What is in the box?
Another box.
What could be in the box? What is in the box? What was in the box?
It's now in my hand. Do-do-do-do. Bam!
Politics. Yes. Next week on Universe Box, we're writing stump speeches.
We have to write a stump speech?
And kissing babies.
I can kiss babies.
That's right. We're talking politics next week on Universe Box. What are your hot button issues? What do you like or dislike about Obama? We might as well get controversial if we're getting controversial. Ever like a politician so much you work for their campaign? I have. Tell us why you hate what we think. We're talking politics next week on Universe Box. Something we'll never, ever, ever, ever do again because it's going to be so loaded and so crazy. And so anti what we normally do.
I think
on
I'm
the
going to
show.
need adult beverages for next week because I'm a little scared.
We're going to do politics. And
Politics?
Politics.
We're going to do politics, not politics.
And then we're never going to talk politics again, promise. So don't miss it because once in a lifetime opportunity. We're taking a no politics promise. So it'll be fun.
Hope just said Pokemon.
Pokemon?
No.
It's you and me.
There will be no Pokemon ever because...
Okay, well we have a couple letters and voicemails and stuff here to wrap
Emery
up
looks
with
scared. Yes,
in the mailbox. As always, if you want to send us in your stories about politics, email us at universeboxshow@gmail.com. Tweet us your stories at universe_box. The Facebook is facebook.com/theuniversebox, and we'd love some voicemails on politics. That might be a little easier. You can speak a little more extemporaneously. 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. And first up is Wynn with her voicemail. I just wanted to point out here, and this is kind of the subject of her voicemail. She does a lot of writing about gods in her book series, City of the Gods.
I was about to say...
Which we'll have a link in the show notes, but you can find more information about that either just by searching City of the Gods on Amazon or by going to winmercer.wordpress.com. So take it away, Wynn.
Hello, Universe Box. This is Wynn Mercer, and
Hello.
Anne-Marie asked me to call in and say a little bit about the rewards and challenges of writing about characters from well-known myths. I have a bunch of mythological comics, anthologies, novels, and tabletop game supplements in my publishing credits. So here are my top 5 suggestions if you want to use gods and goddesses in your stories. Number 1, don't get hung up about staying true to the source material. The classics are great inspiration, but give your characters something new to work with. And don't write origin stories or retell a saga everybody's heard before. Number 2, gods and goddesses are perfect characters to use in fish out of water stories. You can exile an ancient Mayan god to ancient Japan, or make Jupiter really live on Jupiter. You'll get lots of meaty scenes to write when all-powerful beings find themselves in a tough spot. Number 3, put regular people in your stories too. Immortals have always had complex and interesting relationships with humans. It can even be debated whether men or mythological beings are more good or more evil. Make sure you have plenty of regular people to contrast with gods and goddesses. Number 4, decide beforehand if you want to deal with people who complain that by using a character from their culture in your fiction, you're being offensive. Those critics are out there. If a discussion about your right to write about mythological beings would make you uncomfortable, you might want to stick with writing only original fantasy characters. And lastly, the genre of mythology will always be popular, so put your own spin on it. Mythological beings fit well in every kind of creative endeavor. Comics, games, fine art, costuming, stories, film, robotics. Whatever you like to make, you can put a mythic spin on it. So, like the gods, get out there and create something and share it with Universe Box. And if you want to check out my stories about mythology, just visit winmercer.com. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yes, she gave her own plug.
Yep, she got her own plug on there.
And thank you very much, Wynn.
Thank you so much, Wynn, for listening to me harass you on Twitter, and that was awesome to hear. I like the countdown.
Definitely, and we have another voicemail coming up from Michael. But first, we wanted to read this letter from someone we haven't heard from before.
Exactly.
Thank you, Cassie Mack. You want to read it?
All right, Cassie Mack. Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener since the beginnings of your Once Upon a Time podcast.
Back to the early days.
Early days.
The mythology of us.
I tend to be a lurker, but with this next subject, I just had to speak up. My favorite story from ancient mythology is Cassandra of Troy. I have to start with a rant because it's most often spelled Cassandra with a C, which is frankly ridiculous. The Greek alphabet doesn't even have a C. So even though we have to translate it to our alphabet, spelling it with a K is far more accurate. As with all mythology, every source tells different version of the story, but here are the basics. Cassandra will you stop with the wand? Was a human in the probably historical city of Troy. Legend goes that she was given the gift of sight by Apollo, son of Zeus, and so became a prophetess. Apollo then wanted to take her as his lover, but Cassandra had taken a vow of chastity. Unable to remove the gift he'd bestowed her, he cursed Cassandra so that no one would ever believe her. She even tried to warn the people of Troy not to bring the wooden horse into the city, but her warnings went unheeded. So in a nutshell, Cassandra always speaks the truth, but no one ever believes her. Such is her curse. Everywhere I've looked online for articles about Cassandra, I've seen dozens of comments from women saying that they have the exact same experience, that no matter how honest, clear, truthful, educated, or knowledgeable that they are, they find themselves always dismissed and disregarded. I see this as a parable demonstrating the experience common to so many women. That it's so much more difficult to make ourselves heard, and no amount of work will prove our trustworthiness to people who just don't want to hear the truth. In contrast, you'll often hear men use the term as an insult, referring to a woman as a Cassandra. When I asked my ex-husband exactly what he thought that meant, he said it's someone who's always spouting doom and gloom, missing the point of the story, as men do. I explained it to him and thanked him for the compliment, but denial is a powerful force, and the truth of his own statement never really sunk in. Notice the X in ex-husband. If you enjoy a good read, then there's an excellent novelization of her story by Marion Zimmer Bradley called The Firebrand. One of the few times that the story of the Trojan War has been told from a female point of view. Also one of the few that doesn't end with Cassandra being tortured, raped, and murdered. Oh, isn't that pleasant? So it's my personal favorite. Like I said, I'm normally a lurker, but when you asked about Greek mythology, I just couldn't hold back. I hope you don't mind me throwing my 2 cents in. Love the show, Cassie Mack. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. And then
she said this other part. P.S. So after sending the thought, I probably sound pretty cynical, but if you'd have been married to that guy, you'd be cynical too. I always thought you guys sounded so cute together. It was awesome to find out you're married. You found one of the good guys, Anne Marie. Yay!
I think you're wrong, Cassie Mack.
Well, some days.
I fooled Cassie Mack as well as you.
You did.
And
the
rest of our audience.
And the rest.
Here on Universe Box. Yeah. No, but it was great hearing from you, Cassie Mack. Thank you very, very much. Okay, and our last piece of feedback is a voicemail from Michael. Take it away, Michael.
Hey, Bill and Anne-Marie, it's Michael.
Hey.
I've been really excited ever since I heard that y'all were doing an episode on mythology. It's definitely one of my favorite subjects to think about and talk about. One of the things that frustrates me a lot is when people talk about Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. His name and ideas always seem to come up when people talk about mythology. And of course, I understand why. He's a huge influence on pop culture in general. They talk about him in everything from Star Wars to Harry Potter, things like that. But I think his ideas are kind of reductive. And more importantly, I think they really limit the ways that we can talk and think about myth. Basically, the idea is that all myths and stories, fantastic stories that contain mythic elements, follow a certain pattern that he calls the hero's journey. And I'm not really going to get into that. A lot of people have done that over the years. But I do want to talk about some of the other ways I think we can benefit from thinking about myths. And I'm not saying that there's no value in the idea of the hero's journey. Obviously, the pattern's there. And on a certain level, it is interesting to point it out and look at it. But my problem is I don't think that level is a very deep level. I think it's actually pretty surface level. So yes, it is true that in Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, the hero's mentor always dies so the hero can take the burden of their story on their own shoulders. And yes, it's true that often heroes enter a period of self-doubt and reluctance before they start their journey in earnest. But where do we go from there? I mean, what can we do with that? I don't think it takes us very far. To me, what's more interesting is not what myths tend to have in common, but where they differ. So yes, using those examples, again, Dumbledore and Gandalf, they both support Harry and Frodo, but to equate the two, which I think is what the comparative approach to mythology asks us to do, is to lose sight of everything that I think makes them so wonderful. Frodo is a great character, not because he's the reluctant hero in the story, but rather because he's wistful, provincial, slow to violence. He has the air of a well-to-do bachelor from the English countryside. And Harry's a great character because he's impulsive, he's stubborn, he's fiery. He has a downtrodden past that allows him to empathize with others. And the same thing with actual myths. The one that stands out in my mind is the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. A lot of people point out that the medieval poem Sir Orfeo is basically a different version of the same story. But to me, those stories are not great because they're so similar, but rather because the Greek myth has the pathos and tragedy and sensuality of Greek stories. And the poem carries the more European weirdness of fairyland, the erratic personalities of the fairies, the feeling of medieval chivalry. And again, I think these are all qualities that we lose sight of if we use the comparative method. And Tolkien, it's actually from J.R.R. Tolkien and his friend and fellow Oxford instructor C.S. Lewis that I draw a lot of my ideas about mythology from, and they were both very interested in myth. It was actually a conversation between the two about mythology that finally convinced Lewis, who was a former atheist, to finally accept the faith he became famous for defending later on. But I just wanted to share a quote from Lewis about mythology. It always gives me goosebumps and makes me shiver. He says, "Can I have been unhappy living in paradise? What keen tingling sunlight there was. The mere smells were enough to make a man tipsy. Cut grass, dew-dabbled mosses, sweet pea autumn woods, wood burning, peat, salt water. The senses ached. I was sick with desire, that sickness better than health." Man, that always gets me every time. But both of them were concerned with recovering an older view of mythology. The term myth today, when we say that's a myth, we usually mean it's untrue, it's a deception or a delusion. For example, if you said that shaving will make your hair grow back faster, a scientist would say, well, that's a myth. Or if we look at actual mythology, like the Norse idea that thunder is caused by the sound of Thor riding in his goat wagon, well, we would say, well, that's a myth, because we know what really causes thunder. So the word myth kind of conveys an idea of an inaccuracy, ignorance, delusion, that sort of thing. It's the same sense of the word we use in the TV show Mythbusters. But to Lewis and Tolkien, the word myth should mean exactly the opposite. It comes from a Greek word mythos, which just meant originally a tale or a story. And it was originally used to refer to case-in-point stories, like the kind of story you would use if you wanted to give an example of an idea that you didn't really know how to explain. So originally the idea is that a myth is a story that maybe wasn't literally true, but it conveyed truth in it. So that's basically the Tolkienian and Lewisian sense of the word, that a myth is not irrational, but super rational. That is, it surpasses reason by getting at the truth in a more direct way that mere reason alone could, without being able to necessarily explain these truths in a straightforward and obvious way. And I think humans are both rational and imaginative creatures, and we can't really be satisfied only by history and philosophy, even though those things are true and relevant and necessary. And I think myths are true and relevant and necessary as well, but in a different level and appealing to a different faculty than reason. Another way that myths can convey truth is by using fantastic elements to make us see the world differently and overturn our disillusionment. G.K. Chesterton expressed that idea in a really moving way. He wrote that fairy tales say that apples were golden only to refresh the forgotten moment when we found that they were green. They make rivers run with wine only to make us remember for one wild moment that they run with water. That's another quote that always gets me. So to sum up, a myth I don't think is something that needs to be busted. It's not ignorance that needs to be swept away. I think when we really understand myths, a myth is something that's true without being factual. It's real without being historical. It has a power all its own, intrinsic to the story, regardless of the skill or lack of skill of the storyteller. But I've run on enough, so I'll leave it at that. I can't wait to hear the episode, so you all take care. Bye.
Thank you very much,
Our
Michael.
fans are really smart.
I know, right?
Or our listeners, not really fans. That's weird.
I will say just a little bit, since you touched on the monomyth with Joseph Campbell. No, it's not. It's just I think it's very useful. I think people approach it the wrong way these days, and probably actually since it got a lot of traction when George Lucas used it or created Star Wars based on it. I think a lot of people look at it, and George Lucas, even in Star Wars, looked at it as prescriptive. This is what you should do to construct a myth. I think it's more descriptive. And I mean, the Hero with 1,000 Faces, this book that I have here that I use as my mouse pad, actually, like it really goes into it. Like Joseph Campbell wasn't saying, this is how you create a myth. He was like, these are the common elements for myths from every culture, every time period ever. So I think it's important to know the hero's journey or the monomyth, understand the hero's journey or the monomyth, and then when you go to create a story or create your own myth, completely put it out of your head. It's good to know what the various elements are and how they interact together, but I think, especially screenwriting, a lot of screenwriting classes, courses, books, and everything, they're like, no, you have to, and even different versions of the monomyth, like Save the Cat, they're like, no, you have to hit these beats in your script if you want it to be a real story. No, I don't think that's true. I think it's important to know the shape and the structure. So, when you're going back and looking over your story and stuff, you can identify those pieces and kind of maybe play with them, draw them out a little bit if you want to. But you should know it, but then forget about it and just write your story how you want to write your story. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to follow the hero's journey anyway, to some degree. So, I would definitely, look into a little bit more if you're a storyteller, which
you should be, because you are our storyteller.
Exactly, everyone here is. So yeah, definitely take a look. Hero with 1,000 Faces, and thank you again, Michael, for that wonderful.
Thank you so much, Michael. You're way too smart for me.
Michael in the chat room says, "Hope I didn't make too many enemies by dissing Joseph Campbell." No, you didn't make any enemies. Just me. Again, if you want to send us some stuff on politics, and by the way, we were talking in the chat a little bit during Michael's voicemail. If you guys want to fill up that idea box with very controversial,
we could do a whole
political topics. We could do the whole episode just with the idea box.
I would love that. Actually,
that's universebox.com/ideabox, or you can email us universeboxshow@gmail.com. Tweet us at universe_box. The Facebook is facebook.com/theuniversebox, and the voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. 2352. Now
And I'm working on the P.O. box another week or two before I get there.
Yeah, we'll have the P.O. box. And we look on our Twitter or our Facebook. We'll post it there as soon as it's available. So, Emery, where can people find you online?
You can find me on the Twitters at DeSimone.
And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Bill Meeks. You can follow all of the podcasts we do, including this one, Legends of Gotham, Greetings from Storybrooke, at universebox.com. And you know what? I wrote kind of like a mythological kind of fairy tale kind of story a couple weeks back.
You did. It's awesome.
I don't have a copy right here.
How do you not have a copy?
It's in the closet.
But stupid closet.
It's called The Trials of King Sparrow, and you can pick that up at bit.ly/King Sparrow or any of your common ebook retailers that are Amazon for the next 3 weeks until it goes off exclusive. Okay, so
you could have got it during Prime Day when there was no other sale.
Okay, so this will be our last episode before all of you guys leave, because you're going to leave after the politics episode probably.
No, they're
it's going to
not.
be so controversial.
I don't know if it's going to be that controversial.
It might be kind of controversial.
Yeah,
We'll
probably
see.
will. It's a little scary.
Maybe I'll just share a bunch of fake opinions to get everyone mad at us.
Don't
That'd
do
be fun.
that.
No, I won't do that.
No fakies.
No, actually, I'm going to call back to this if someone actually does get mad at us and be like, no, it was a fake opinion. See, I teased it the week beforehand.
No fakies. Oh, let's make friends, no enemies.
That's fair. Well, until next time.
No.
What?
Oh, yeah, remember to think outside.
Yeah. Let's try it again.
Let's try it again.
Until next time.
Remember to think outside. I was on the wrong show.
Universe Boxio.
Yeah, basically.
Universe Boxio. No, but thank you guys so much for coming out. It was a little bit longer tonight, but I think it was all good content, so that's okay, right? For sure. Here, I'm going to hop into chat for a second. Yeah, YouTube people.
Okay. Are we done streaming, or are we still streaming?
We're still streaming.
Oh, okay.
We're still streaming.
I was like, take a listen. Oh. We did pick a side.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh, for Once Upon a Time, for sure.
Very true.
I like Bobby. If you diss Bruce, you get the boomstick. Nice.
What? Oh, got it. Okay. Things I don't get.
Type into Michael that he did fine by Campbell. I hope he likes what I said, though, because he
can't hear it now because he's at work.
Definitely. And it looks like everyone's. No one puts King Sparrow in the closet. Yeah, and everyone says we'll be fine.
See, they say that now. You say that now, homies.
All right, well, we'll probably go ahead and shut down the stream here. Might hang out in the chat for another minute or two longer. But thanks again so much for coming out, guys.
Bye. Thank you so much.
We love you.
Mwah!